Weirdlings, Colleen over here for the second round of Lilith's Jacket. If you caught us a couple of weeks ago, we went through how to make the yellow portion of Lilith's Jacket from Borderlands 1. Now today we're going to go over how to do the top part of the jacket. That seems like it's gonna be the most fun. I'm so excited. Not really. As you've probably guessed, we are gonna convert this guy into Lilith's Jacket. Again, part 2. Why does that girl need so many jackets? What's up with that? We're not even covering her arms. Fashion. I'm gonna lift Carol up. She doesn't have a head this time because people were saying she was too creepy. So I hope headless Carol is better for you. So I was trying to do like half of like what you want it to look like and then the other half normal. And then I confused my sides. So you have no sleeve here. I took the sleeve off over here and then I took the bottom off over here, and well, this cargo jacket I found at the thrift store. It was like $5. I'm so excited. I'm gonna put a link in the description for hopefully this jacket somewhere on the internet where you can buy it. If not, try to find a jacket that's same or similar to this cargo design with the pockets up here, because that's what her jacket looks like. And then you can mod from there. So my first step here is to remove the sleeves and remove this bottom portion here to make it crop. To remove the sleeves, I'm using my seam ripper and I'm just getting in there in the threads and I'm just pulling them out, and it's gonna take a while. The sleeves are off! Yay! We're one step closer! Looking at this jacket, I have a seam here and a seam here. They're just decorative seams. I don't know what's going on there. I need to bring in the jacket this way so it opens up more in the front. To do that on this jacket, I just used this seam right here and I cut along the side so that it leaves a finished-ish seam on the side, but it also crops it in. With your jacket, if it doesn't have this, then just bring it in as far as you feel comfortable with. You may need to put the jacket on in order to figure out where that has to go. So I'm gonna take my scissors and I'm gonna cut it. And for now, I am just cutting up as straight as I can, up the collar. Cropped in, yeah! Now I have this little stretchy band right down here. I started taking it off over here because I thought, you know, I'll just do half of the stuff I need to on the jacket on one half, and then you can see what it looked like before I started doing the alterations. And then I fudged it up and mixed up the sides. So I'm gonna continue taking this off. And again, just use the seam ripper and take it off. Now, depending on your jacket, if it doesn't have this kind of cropping thing at the bottom, just put your jacket on, figure out where you want to cut it, how short you want your over jacket to be, and then just cut your jacket. And you're good. You don't have to deal with ripping seams. What? You could just cut it. What? I guess theoretically, so could I. Done. I feel like it's already starting to come together and I'm so excited. I just realized I forgot to go over what you need. Get your together. Okay, well I guess now is a better time to do it than any. So you need your jacket that you're gonna alter. You need some bias tape. You need some of this quilted stuff. It is basically cotton and then batting and then cotton, and it's all quilted together, and it came like this. And I got like a fourth of a yard-ish, and I had to dye it because it came white, and I dyed it like well, I tried to do olive drab and I couldn't find olive drab dye. So I put brown dye and green dye in a bath, and it took me a while to get the color, but this is it. That was a really long story to tell you exactly what you needed. That's it. I also got this Sherpa fur. That's what it's called. It has this like suede kind of feeling, and then it has this furry kind of feeling. It's fake, it's not real, don't worry. I think this matches the texture of Lilith's collar better than fleece, which would have given me the correct color, but not the right texture. So I decided to go with this, even though it's not the right yellow, I don't think. You can tell I'm still super confident about that decision. I also have this black pleather kind of fabric that I have left over. It was just a scrap that I had, so I'm using that. You can use whatever black fabric you want to. This I think matches the bib part in the back that kind of comes over to the front, if that even makes any sense. I don't know how to describe what this is. It's a pleather. It's in the pleather aisle at Joann's Fabrics, and it has this nice velvet-ish texture to it, but it looks like snakeskin. Velvet snakeskin, that's what it is. Go look for it. To make the pattern to cut out of your fabric for the pieces that you're gonna need for this, I suggest using tissue paper. You can wrap it around things and you can maneuver it, and it's pretty lightweight, and it's super awesome to work with for pattern making. I think that's it. I think. Looking at Lilith's jacket, she has this bib thing that goes like this, and then she has this stuff, this quilted stuff that goes like this. So it's like this, and then it's the bib, and yeah. So right here, ooh, that looks great. That looks awesome. I'm not gonna make a pattern for this. That probably sounds like a really bad idea, but that's because I can totally vision it. If you need to do a pattern, do a pattern. I think I'm gonna be okay, and I'm gonna show you how. There's a seam right here in the jacket that goes right there. See? Right there. All right, so I'm gonna put this right here to where it covers up just below this zipper right here on the jacket. Because I feel most comfortable with it being there. If you don't like it there, then move it. So I'm gonna go and I'm gonna try to match the seam right here without cutting anything. I'm gonna pin it here. That sounds like a good idea. So now I have this piece cut out that sort of fits here, and I'm going to take my scissors and trim it to go with the armhole of the jacket here, and to go more with the seam here, because I kind of did it at a bad angle for that, but I have enough over that seam to where I can just fix it and trim it and match it. Yay! I am actually going to remove this and just use this as a template to cut it out of the rest of my fabric. And I'm also going to trim these edges because they're all nice and frayed from when I washed it. Bam! Now I'm going to grab my sewing machine, and I am going to sew bias tape onto all of the edges of this quilted panel. Have I ever told you how much I hate bias tape? I mean, I can do it, it's fine. It's a pain in the butt. Now that the pads are done, I am going to pin them to the jacket and sew them on. Pin the pad to where the slope goes with the seam. That makes more sense. And then I will sew the top of this to it so it's just a flat. So now we need to do the bib part that goes around the back and into the front. I started making a pattern using tissue paper for the bib part. To do this, I placed tissue paper on top of my mannequin with the jacket over it, and I just drew out where I thought the bib would go. You can see I have masking tape right here on the tissue paper as well. That's because I cut a little too short, and so I'm using masking tape to kind of fill in that area so I don't have to redraw my pattern. I did give myself enough room to alter the bib, so I brought it down really low, and actually it's too low. So I'm going to just alter it and do what I need to in order to make it look how I want it to before I cut it out. So my pattern is how I want it in the front. I made sure it goes as far as I need it to out here along the cuff. And in the back, you can see it only goes through about half of the jacket. And that's because I'm going to cut my pattern on the fold, so when I fold it out, you have just the double layer going around it. Once your pattern is ready, grab your black fabric and fold it. Place your pattern on top of your fabric and cut it out. I'm cutting this out and I feel like I've forgotten something, but I don't think I did. I guess we'll see. Here's my bib, and when I put it on here, let's see how it looks. And there's the back. I think maybe because of the weight of the fabric, it's kind of pulling a little bit back there, but we should be able to fix that. Oh, let's hope. Oh, no. I hope so. Next step, I have a thicker bias tape. Oh, sort of. That's different. I thought it was bias tape, and it's different bias tape than I thought. That's okay, we'll make it work. I'm just gonna sew this all the way around the edges, except for this little inner part that's gonna get sewn to the jacket. So here, and then there, and then all down the back, and then back around the arm, and then back around the front. So this part that goes around your neck, you're not gonna put bias tape on it. The whole time I was just pinning. I just pinned it the whole time. That was just me pinning it. Just me pinning it. Did I mention how much I love bias tape? Yeah, curves are so much fun. So much fun! So much fun! Now, I'm gonna sew it. And I really hope this all works out. If not, I'm gonna be so mad. Okay, so there's my one line. But because I got the wrong bias tape and it's the what is it? The trifold? I don't know what one I got. I fudged it up, okay? I fudged it up, so now I gotta go back. Oh my god, so part of it again. I finished the bib! Well, kind of, almost. We have a couple more touches to do, but I want to get it sewn onto the jacket before I add the button. Next, you'll need to make your collar. To make the collar, again, I use tissue paper, and I pretty much traced the collar on my jacket and kind of went from there. Here's the collar that I pre-made because I was just messing around with the physics of it. But it is kind of a curved line, I guess you would say. That way, when you wear it like this, it goes up, up, and then comes down and kind of, I don't know how to explain that. I also elongated it so that it can come down longer than the actual collar that ends up here. It'll come down towards here. And I gave myself a little more room just in case I needed to go down further than I thought. The collar will be trial and error, just depending on what kind of jacket you have and what kind of collar is on it, and the collar is probably the biggest pain in the butt. Now, Lilith's collar looks puffy, so I'm going to start sewing this onto the bib, and then I will leave a hole open so I can stuff it a little bit and then close that up later. When you're ready to sew your collar onto your bib, place the collar in the middle part of your bib, keeping both of the fuzzy part and then the backing of the collar together. Follow the curve of the bib and pin it in place. You know, there's nothing quite like videotaping yourself doing a thing for the first time for everyone to see and marking it as a tutorial for you to second guess everything you know about everything. Because as I'm pinning this, I'm wondering if this knowledge that I have of sewing, if this is actually gonna work out. And I guess we'll find out. So there I have pinned my collar to the bib, and these edges right here are gonna stay open. They stick out a little bit further from the bib. I'm gonna keep those open in order to stuff it, and then I'll sew it closed when I sew that onto the jacket. Oh god, I'm using my camera as a mirror, and it looks stupid from over here. We'll just roll with it. Time for some polyfill. My collar is now stuffed, and I'm going to go back and I'm going to baste these edges together, because that sounds like it'll be easier to work with. Everything is basted together and there's just fur everywhere. Now that I have my bib and collar put together, I am going to revisit my jacket. And for my jacket, I am going to start cutting the collar off, and I'm going to use part of the collar to help sew the bib and actual collar here to this. So I'm gonna leave a little bit left, probably like a ½ inch. That sounds like it'd make a good seam, right? Take my collar, find the middle of it, and I'm going to find the middle of my jacket in the back. Lay your jacket down on the table so you have the seam inside from your collar and your bib. So this is the inside of the bib, this is the outside of the bib. And I'm going to place this seam matching with the back of the jacket like this. So I have the inside of the bib here, so here's the outside, there's the inside of the bib, and I'm going to attach it here to the jacket. So this is going to allow the seam for the collar and bib to not be seen once it's attached to the jacket. I made my collar bigger so that it can... I just stabbed myself with a pin. And we're bleeding. Awesome. Oh, it's lipstick. What was I saying again? Lilith's collar I made bigger than the collar on the actual jacket so that it will come up to the front, and I'm going to pivot those inward this way, so hopefully it'll stay up just like her collar does. I don't know how well that's gonna work right now, but we'll see. Okay, so I have it all pinned. This is the back of the outside of the jacket, and this is the inside of the bib right here. So when it goes like this, it'll be right side up and everything. So ideally, this is what we'll have. And my seam allowance, I'm giving myself like 1/4 of an inch. It's gonna be interesting to see how this works with all the stuffing in there, but I probably should have waited. Oh well. Okay, so at this point I'm realizing how wrong I was for stuffing this stupid collar. So I am going to take some of the stuffing out because this is way too hard. Oh my god, I am so frustrated right now. Whatever, we got this. It's not the end of the freaking world that you have to take stuffing out. It's not the end of the world. It's just a pain in the butt, but that's okay. It's gonna be worth it. I'm gonna take this out, I'm gonna redo it, and it's totally gonna be worth it. I'm gonna be so excited about it. Now that I took that stuffing out, it is way better to sew. So scratch what I said earlier and don't put stuffing in it just yet. Sew it to your jacket first, because oh my god, it's way better. Yay! Okay, cool. It's coming together how I was hoping it would. So now I'm going to take my edges, and this one's actually a little bigger, it looks like, so I'm gonna trim that one. Now I'm gonna take it and I'm gonna sew it to where it goes like that. I'm gonna stuff it first because I'm gonna close this shut. So I'm gonna stuff it and then I'm gonna sew it. But what I'll do is turn it like this and sew it here to where theoretically it'll sit like that. I have stuffed it again, and I'm going to take this and turn it in and then sew that. And hopefully it'll work and we'll be done. Oh my god. I have my collar on with my bib, but I'm noticing it's not really fitting very well. So I'm going to sew these parts right here down right there, and hopefully that'll keep it. I'm gonna hand sew it though, so I get this back black part and sew it down, that way I don't have any stitches showing on the fur. My next step is put the buttons on it, and I have these silver buttons. They look kind of like the snaps that are on her jacket, and I'll hand sew those on as well. If you look at the jacket, it goes on the bib, one here, one over here, and then 2 in the back on the bib. But now the hard part's done, and now you get to sit down with a glass of wine, watching, like, you know, reruns of Agent Carter, and you get to hand sew and enjoy your time because your jacket's done. Yeah! I'm going to leave the edges raw. I think that's more Lilith than having them all finished. So I like the cutoff. I'm gonna leave it like that. If you want to finish the edges, you can just cover it in bias tape and sew it. That's probably the easiest way to finish your edges. Have you made a Lilith over jacket before? Do you have any tips, suggestions, anything that can make our lives easier because, I mean, that was pretty hard. I got that done in like a couple hours, but still, it was really difficult. As always, be sure to give this video a big thumbs up, at least an A for effort. I think this turned out really awesome, and I'm super excited about it because I had second thoughts about it. Be sure to share this video with your Lilith Borderlands cosplay loving friends, and don't forget to subscribe to the Weird Girls YouTube channel so you can see more of what we are doing.